Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Sunless Skies. So we have a lot of things to do in London. We're definitely headed back to Albion this episode. But, as much as I hate going to Hybris, this is probably the last time we're going to be back in the Reach for a little while. We have a lot of other business to do in other places, and we probably should figure out what happened to all these people. We're the only, as far as I know, we're the only person in position to do this. If we don't, then they're all just gone, as far as the universe is concerned. So, I suppose in that sense we have something of a moral duty. I hate Hybris. I hate Hybris so much, but it's not that far from the relay. Let's just get on up there. So, what am I talking about here? In terms of pathing, we can swing through. We don't need to go to New Winchester itself. We can swing through and drop off our Port Avon report. And then I guess we could grab the circus port report as we go past. There's no reason not to. And I guess we'll head up to Hybris like this. And doing that will allow me to see if I am misremembering, if there actually was a transportation relay up here. And we'll swing through to Hybris and we'll come... man, I don't want to go past the big horror. I don't know. I guess we'll figure out what we want to do as we get... in order to get back from Hybris, once we've actually gotten to Hybris. It really does feel like this train drifts more than our original one. Alright, so unfortunately, we have another episode here that's going to open with a long, quiet trip. At least we can hope that it's quiet. Ooh, wait. I don't think that we've interacted with that yet. What have we here? Okay, well, we certainly don't need to reduce our terror. I suppose we could trade a Sky Story for supplies. We have 19 right now. Yeah. I will absolutely trade a Sky Story for not having to spend 40 sovereigns later. And look at that. I didn't even crash into the homestead. What an auspicious start to our new week of Sunless Skies. I have to say, I am surprised at how long this is. I was really not expecting this series to be even as long as it already has been, and it seems like there's an awful lot left to go. Alright, do we want... we don't have a lot of terror. We could study the fungus and pick up some... shoot, I don't remember what we get from this. It's not super valuable, though, I remember that. We could use it for fuel. I don't really want to gain terror. Yeah, alright. Let's harvest lichen and use it for fuel. That saved us a little tiny bit of money. At this point, I suppose, I don't really need to think about... and I think I said as much last time. We don't really need to think about fuel and supplies in terms of the sovereign cost, because it's not a number that we care about anymore. So we have some important things to do in London, but we don't really have that many things to do in Albion as a whole. So it's possible that we will not spend a lot of time over there. We'll go and we'll help out the Rat Brigade. We can finally get into Sarge's deposit box. I know that the Repentant Devil wanted to talk to somebody in London. And we may end up just going to London, dropping some stuff off at Brabazon, and then trying to get to Eleutheria immediately. I'm still not actually clear if Eleutheria is a name for the Blue Kingdom, or if it's somewhere else entirely. Right, let's drop off our one port report here. We have so much gratitude and just nothing to do with it, right? Yeah, trading favor to affect the balance of power in the Reach does nothing, because the balance of power has been already 100% in control of the Tacites for forever. We really don't need more otherworldly artifacts or savage secrets. We'll say the it does feel like we've sort of just run out of things to do in the Reach. We're gonna have to come back periodically, I suspect, as quests continue to drag us back here. But I feel like we've sewn this place up pretty well. So I've been thinking a lot about... I've been thinking a little bit about the mechanical design of this game, because I think there's some really cool stuff going on here. And it is... Please don't crash into me. Please just go that way. Just make your train go forward. Do you guys not know? I guess that maybe is the trade-off for the ability to quickly drift side to side, is that they can't really go forward on purpose very well. I suppose, in the end, our engine design, where it mostly makes you go the way you're pointed, is better. Even if I do wish I could dodge. But what it's really got me thinking about, actually... Oh, seeing something to crave here. Is Cultist Simulator. I spent a little bit of time with Cultist Simulator when it came out. Okay, don't have a lot of options here. I spent a little bit of time with Cultist Simulator when it came out. And I think it's really... I don't know what I think of it as a game, in the sense of, like, the mechanics being challenging and fun to figure out. But I think the way the mechanics and the narrative of that game blend together to produce something that's really true to the, like, the spirit of both of them is, like, a singular achievement. And I know that sounds vague. I have a really hard time expressing my thoughts about that game. We don't really need to listen to any... I guess listen to their stories. We'll gain some Sky stories here, right? Oh no, this reduces our terror. Okay. I've spent a lot of time thinking about how to talk about what I think is really great about Cultist Simulator, and I have found myself consistently stymied. We don't need to attend performances, but we'll go ahead and pick up our tickets now, so we have lots of tickets next time we come back, just in case we need to. I've been trying to make a video, sort of off and on. It's not like it's something that keeps me up at night. But I've been trying to make a video about Cultist Simulator, talking about what I think is great about Cultist Simulator for months now. It's sort of something that's like been slowly cooking in the back of my brain that entire time. There's a thing going on there. So, I guess... Hold on, let me back up. I'm going to talk about where my thoughts come from in the first place a little bit. So, when I was younger, like in high school, I had a really hard time with poetry. And I say when I was younger so that you won't think that I still have a hard time with poetry. But I have, like... Every time I read a poem, I'm like, well, why didn't you just write prose? Like, couldn't you have expressed... If there was an idea here to express, why'd you have to express it with all these flourishes and stuff? It feels like... I don't know, like you're just trying to be weird for the sake of weird, trying to get attention, and eventually I outgrew that part of it, the immediate derision. See, poetry is not the way I would have chosen to express a thought, and that makes it the wrong way, right? I feel like everybody goes through a little bit of that in their teens. You're certain you've got it figured out, you're certain you know the right way to do things. Jeez. Okay, apparently this part of space is heavily populated. Space. This part of the Reach, anyway. So I've gotten past that, the derision, and now I want to understand poetry, but because I wasn't paying attention in school when we were talking about poetry, I don't really have good tools for understanding it. It's just sort of mystifying to me. Like, it's like listening to jazz. I live close enough to Canada that I'm able to get the CBC on the radio in my car. And the CBC plays a lot of jazz at night. Usually when I'm driving, it's at night. So I have learned that I really like listening to jazz, but I don't know anything about it, man. Like, I know there's a lot going on there intellectually and from a musicianship standpoint, and I know a little bit about music. I think I mentioned last episode maybe that I was in band in school. I was a flautist. I know sort of like how music works, and I spent enough time in band and got to sort of a high enough level that I have a little bit of music theory. I guess we'll just get some gossip here. So I sort of at least know the kinds of things that I don't know about jazz a little bit, if that makes sense. But as a whole, very, very opaque. And poetry is the same way. I can't understand. I can read some like E.E. Cummings or, I don't know, Walt Whitman. Those are the two poets whose names I know. And just nothing. Get nothing out of it. And I feel a little bit that way about Cultist Simulator. It's like there's something about it that I really like, but it evades me to such a degree that I can't even really talk about the way I feel about the thing that it's doing, much less talk about the thing that it's doing directly. So I have like 4 or 5 drafts of a script for this video, and they all look like they're about completely different things. Me trying different approaches, and I don't know. There might come a day where I just sit down and record myself playing 5 hours of Cultist Simulator and just try to work it out loud. I find I have a very difficult time getting my thoughts straight when I'm just thinking them. Everything's very ephemeral, you know? Writing them down or speaking them helps to solidify them somewhat, but to some degree I wonder if that's the problem. Like, I have a bad enough grasp of the thing I'm feeling that trying to pin it down into words is maybe not something I can do. I'm pinning it down into words, but they're not the right words. You know, I can't quite get the meaning that I want to express because I don't know what it is. And hey, that right there is maybe an argument for poetry. Ah, missed the second shot. That's a pretty good start, though. Oh, you suck. But he's trying to bait me into getting closer to him so he can do that scream that he does. Ow. You remember why I hate going to Hybris? Because I'm starting to remember why I hate going to Hybris. Alright, I'm fairly confident we can kill him, though. We got a couple of shots really quickly. Ah. I will say, his attack doesn't do that much damage. Not relative to the amount of hull we have now. Okay, I got him there with both of the guns, I think. He's got to be getting low. Oh. Apparently the little dangly bits of his robe don't actually have any substance. They are not part of the hitbox. You know, we're getting kind of low on supplies. Maybe I should, Of course. Of course more. You know what? Screw this. Our aunt suggests that nobody should get back in the train without wiping their shoes. That's fair. That's reasonable. You know, she's been a good addition to the crew. You know what the funny thing about my difficulty with poetry and stuff is? I love metaphors. There's some very similar ground there, right? But I don't know. Alright, yes, let's take shore leave in a fungal meadow. I'm sure this is going to work out great for us. We could forage for mushrooms. We could forage for bronzewood splinters. Or we could just sing a little bit and burn off some of this terror. You know, we're not that terrified. The thing is, we do need more supplies. This is enough to get back to London, though. Or not London, New Winchester. I guess we're not going straight to New Winchester, but it's certainly enough to get to Prosper. Yeah, sure. Let's join the crew in song. We could burn a little terror here. Your voices cut into the still meadow air, easing the tension. Even in a dark place like this, camaraderie offers warmth. We return to the train, feeling considerably better. Not that considerable. Alright, who's ready to do something incredibly stupid? This just seems like such a bad idea to me. Let's just... Alright. I know a little bit about what's going to happen. The colonists' houses are dark, and there is no sign of a soul about. The smithy is empty. No smoke comes from the Brendan's chimneys. The fretwork on the town hall remains unfinished. A bee, laced with curling fronds, flies by, its drone the only sound in Hybris. Alright, let's take the prisoners, honey. You locate a comfortable armchair in the Brendan and pour yourself a small measure of the honey into a little teacup, after you've cleaned it of the mushrooms. The pernickety factor has refused to partake. I'll keep watch. Besides, I don't know where it's been. You dream of a revel in a forest, a real forest with trees and vines. Young men and women run through the trees, laughing and dancing, while serpents look on from the branches. A large woman serves you tea. A straight-backed, officious lady invites you to play cricket. She is a mean batsman. They do not speak of former times. their voices ring in your ears as you wake. Okay, well that was less terrifying than I thought it might be, and in fact, we found it very calming. It's kind of strange how, like, sometimes terror is representative of my mental state, and sometimes it's representative of the crew's mental state. But in circumstances where, like, we've gained terror because the crew got scared, we can still lose that terror by, like, me having a pleasant dream. I suppose it wouldn't be worth the mechanics, like the extra stuff that would have to be put in place to deal with those two things separately, but it is strange. The colonists' houses are dark. Yeah, I just read this. I think we should just tell the truth here. And my character is, like, pretty pro-spread of knowledge, right? The pernickety factor looks up from her tea when you wake. Didn't let it steep long enough, she sighs. Was the magician right? Her eyes widen as you begin your explanation. She sits in silence for a long while when you finish. So, the colonists made a bargain with the serpents behind the glass. I can't help but wonder if we're... She shakes her head. London looks after its servants. Should you need assistance in the future, I'll put in a word. She intends to remain on Hybris for a little longer yet, and will not be departing with you. How does she plan to leave? Nobody's gonna come... Alright, you know what? Listen, she's a ground person, she can do what she wants. Yep. Nothing left to see here on Hybris. For some reason, there's somebody here selling souls. I mean, we may as well take them. No sense leaving the hold empty. Do we want to go out past the horror? It really is a lot of extra driving to go out the other way. I thought this was a on the plane below us, so I wasn't even looking to see if the light hit it. Alright, let's go ahead and scrape this for supplies. We really do need the supplies. I hate gaining terror, especially as we're about to go past the horror, but our terror is 0 right now. Yeah. Your cook hacks off the growths that look most edible and tips them into a keg. Mottled caps, pale stalks, spools of delicate noodle-like roots. When all's done, the asteroid is rolled back out of the hatch and the room hosed down with carbolic. You can't be too careful with mushrooms. That was 2 supplies. That's pretty valuable. Alright, so yeah, I think it makes the most sense to go up by the horror rather than... Well, except I forgot to look for the transit relay. Okay, we're going back that way because I want to see if the transit relay is actually there. You know, sometimes we imagine things. That's one of the things about being out here for so long. Maybe I just imagined it. And I have no idea, like, will that same scribe spinster still be over here? If so, will it still have all the damage on it? Maybe we can just clip it as we leave. I mean, it's fine if not. I'm certainly okay with just exiting. I think we must have gotten very unlucky with that one. It was that one that chased us for what felt like forever, right? That's not going to work. But since then, it seems like mostly they give up pursuit pretty easily and they get stuck on things. Do we want to try to carve some bronzewood off of it? We probably will succeed. Yeah. And we're still saving up. The money is not a huge deal to us, but we are still saving up for better and better engines. Killing those things is pretty valuable. Alright, let's go up here and see if there is a transit relay, and if there is, what it says on it. I wonder if we can just use them? Maybe, I could see that you might need, hours. But we certainly won't need permits or anything, assuming that they are not, they might all be controlled by the Crown, actually. Just thinking, the ones out here in the Reach could just be sitting there empty and you have to operate them yourselves, potentially? I suppose we will find out. So, like, at the end of the year, I like to do a thing where I look back at the games that I really liked the previous year, but I didn't do stuff on the channel about. So, like, I made a video about Rocket League, which I've been playing forever, and which is just absolutely fantastic. And that Cultist Simulator video was supposed to be part of that series, and that's actually what stalled that series super hard, because I couldn't figure out the right approach for it. Someday I would also like to have I would like to have done a Tekken video as well, because I played quite a bit of Tekken 7 last year, and it's so good. Man, I love Tekken. But I feel that's less urgent. I understand what I like about Tekken, at least. The thing with the Cultist Simulator video is bothering me because I can't even figure it out, you know? It's like an itch inside of my brain. Man, maybe there wasn't a relay up here. Maybe I'm misremembering. Was it maybe up there? Huh. Okay. I'm gonna try to remember to go back and look at the previous videos. Figure out where that was, or if I'm... You know, a thing about the human brain is sometimes you remember stuff that didn't happen. In fact, probably a lot of your memories are at least partially fictional, as your brain fills in bits that you forgot, or, you know, over time, new bits that you keep forgetting. Sort of a terrifying thought that I don't want to talk about anymore. That, like, so much of the things that sort of formed who you are, such a huge portion of the reality of the world that you hold in your head, is maybe not even real. And, you know, as you get older, it gets less and less. I suppose that's going to be less of a problem for people younger than me, because so much more of your life is going to be documented. It's a strange thought. In some ways, the world is sort of moving from fictitiousness toward not just a better, more represented reality, but a more shared understanding of that reality. But then, also there are some other ways in which certain human agents are working very, very hard to undo all that good work. Alright, well, I guess we're going through Carillon on our way back, because I just sort of wandered over to Carillon. So when we get back to the Reach, we have some permits and some honey that we need to bring to Brabazon. And we need to go to London. We need to go back to Perturance and try to free somebody's niece, I think? I don't remember. That's sort of a vague memory of a bunch of our plot lines here. And I have no idea whether or not it is the case that we can get to the Blue Kingdom from Albion. We really had not explored it that thoroughly. Well, we have plenty of time to do so now. Alright, we don't need to do much here. Let's spend some time contemplating this terrifying statue, which for some reason calms us down. Write ourselves a report. And then, I think just bounce, right? Like, yeah. Since it looks like we're going back to New Winchester anyway, there's no sense in buying fuel or supplies here. My plan really was to just leave. But I suppose at this point you are well familiar with how my plans tend to get away from me. And since I am, apparently, on this journey just sort of spilling out all my thoughts about all these videos that I have intended to make, I think part of what is sort of tricky about the Tekken video is that what I like about Tekken is not just the mechanics. Tekken is a little bit like Enter the Gungeon for me, where I think the mechanics are stellar, and I really like the game. I've always liked 3D fighters better than 2D fighters. I think a lot of that is just, like, there's something about being able to sidestep that feels really good to me as a method of evasion. That's not like 3D fighters are actually mechanically better than 2D fighters. I just like them. And I think Tekken has really good mechanics. I'm not a big fan of juggles in games, and that's a little bit of a bummer about Tekken, because boy oh boy is there some juggling in that game. And again, this is not like it's not like a game that has juggles in it is invalid. Mostly my concern with juggles is just that, like, oh, come on, yes, what a good shot. We can just like stand face to face with this guy, and if he tries to charge us, we can dodge sideways, right? Mostly my concern with juggles in fighting games is that you get a good hit, and then the other player doesn't get to play the game for like 10 seconds, which sucks. I don't mind the fact that juggling leads to there being a relatively small number of actual contested decisions per battle. We don't need crew. I'd be fine with, like, instead of having 40% juggles, I'd be fine with it if just, like, each actual hit dealt 40%. And so the battle comes down to the same number of meaningful decisions, but it just happens faster. But I really don't like the thing where one player is just sort of not playing the game for a while the other player taps out their combo. Ooh, we should get that. In games that have, like, combo breaker mechanics and stuff, show that this is not a concern that is just mine, right? I just feel like you should spend as much time as possible, as much of your time devoted to playing the game as possible, actually playing the game. We don't necessarily need to lose a lot of terror, because we're going to lose some terror when we get back to New Winchester. I think we'll just take fuel off of the thing. Yeah, so that's a little disappointing, but on the whole, I think the mechanics of Tekken are very good. But a lot of what I like about Tekken is sort of like a weird presentational thing, like with Enter the Gungeon, where like there's writing, and it's not really part of the game. Certainly not in the way that like the writing in Sunless Skies is part of the game. But something about the style of it is just very pleasing to me. And with Tekken, it's very much that it's just my kind of trash. It's not like the writing in Tekken is good, but like there's a character who threw his son into a volcano, and then his son survived and threw him into the volcano, and then he survived, and so he threw his son into the volcano again, and then one of them strapped the other one to a rocket and shot it into space, and it's goofy and dumb in the way that I really like it when things are goofy and dumb. And that goes a long way for me. Even if Tekken wasn't good mechanically, I still might like it, just because of how goofy and dumb the writing is. Alright, so let's hit the Victoria Market here. We have some things we can sell. We probably don't need to hold on to these souls. We do want to hold on to 2 barrels of ours, right? For the trip, I think. We can sell the bronze wood. We want to bank the munitions. I don't need to get this literature out now. I guess I do want to get the nectar out now. Right, because we could just go straight to Brabazon. We definitely have some permits. How many permits did I end up with? That's in possessions, I think? Yeah, let's get the Chorister nectar out now. We can just swing through Brabazon right away. Also, I should not have closed that menu. I was not done with that yet. We definitely want to buy some supplies. Just go up to 5 and 5, I guess. To give us time to screw around on the other side without having to go straight to an important port. Okay. And then we can swing through here. We picked up 3 more port reports, so we may as well drop them off. Oh yeah, probably people do not watch the Sunless Skies series to listen to me talk about fighting game mechanics. So I'm going to stop talking about Tekken after I say that King is the best character in the history of fighting games, and that's just how it is. And that's something I like about Tekken too. Alright. 300 more sovereigns. We're over 8k. We really... how much gratitude do we have now? 2? Or 8, rather. Yeah, sure. Give me 1 more otherworldly artifact. Trying to maintain a little bit of favor so that in case we run into a situation like we ran into... I guess we could just go north. Like we ran into with our Tales of Terror, we could come back here and get a bunch of savage secrets pretty quickly. But I'm not anticipating really needing to. How many otherworldly artifacts do I have now? Is it like 30? It is 34. Alright, well, each one of them is worth 70 sovereigns. So that's actually a lot of sovereigns represented in that stack there. We're really not that far from being able to afford that really expensive train. Right, with trade-in value, it's 16,000. Yeah, we're not that far at all. Okay, swing up around here, past the rat. I feel like we've been flying this exact path a number of times lately. I will say, like, if we never needed to come back to the Reach, I wouldn't be sad about it. I feel like we've wrung a lot of the value out of this place. So we do have to come back here to find out what happens with the Trader's Wood, and I actually am still very, very interested in that. Very curious where that is going. Actually, the next time a block of text comes up, I need to check what the date is. There's probably a way to check the date in your journal or something? Maybe not. I would have thought like it could be at the top. How do you just look at what date it is? Is that maybe not a thing I can do? Is it on the chart? Nope. Huh. Okay, well. When we get near the rat, I bet somebody will say something. Man, I miss having rats. Unfortunately, I don't know if I talked about this. I developed a sensitivity to rats that turned into a proper allergy September 30th. That ended up affecting me so much that I started suffering from allergy-induced asthma. I am not naturally asthmatic, but I became asthmatic, which was not fun. That sucks a lot. And you definitely can't just be like, well, whatever, I'll just have the asthma. So I don't know, maybe if I got allergy shots and stuff, we could have rats again, but I do miss them. As far as companion-type animals go, I might say that rats are the very best. An abandoned homestead. Well, let's have a look around. They certainly won't be needing anything that was left behind. I do love all the free supplies and fuel that we're able to find in the Reach. There is a sort of friendliness to the horrifying, monster-filled wilds. Yep, and we can hear combat up ahead. We should kill these juggernauts, right? It's not like immediately mission critical, but it turns out that we have a lot of use for ministry stamped permits, and this seems like a pretty good way of getting them. Come on, quickly, quickly, quickly. Oh, wow. Okay, Jesus. I got hit by that entire volley. Yeah, I should have just fired while we were overheated. I took a lot of extra damage by not doing that. Alright, well, definitely check the navigation suite. Okay, a chart. Chart's fine. Oh, I missed. No, 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 no! I don't want to be right between them. Okay. Wow, we are really taking a lot of damage here. That wasn't supposed to be so difficult. Why do you have two guns? That's not fair. I don't have two guns. I do have two guns. Why can you shoot in two different directions at the same time? That's what I meant. Tackety, help, help, finish him. Okay, we actually have to leave. With a little bit of cover here, we could probably finish this guy off if we're really careful. He's going to have a hard time getting over here without me being able to kill him. And I keep hearing explosions, but it seems like he's maybe not dead. Come on. Yes. Now here's hoping that this Tackety doesn't decide to just shoot me for no reason, as they sometimes do. Well, we certainly don't need to rummage in the kitchens. Let's raid the hold. Ooh, a solid crate or a faceted decanter. That's interesting. I don't know that we've ever been able to loot a faceted decanter before. Ooh. The decanter is empty. Closer examination reveals it is merely cheap glass. But the cloth it rests upon, a sliver of exquisite fabric shrouded in shadow. It drinks light like a prisoner having his first cup of wine on freedom. So, we have no hull at all now. We have to decide... Do I want to go back to New Winchester for repairs? Or, like, Port Avon, realistically. Or do we want to push through and get repaired at London? I really don't want to spend all the time to travel here and travel back. We'll go forward to London. And we shall just see if we can be cautious and not upset anybody. Yeah, dreadnoughts are still dangerous, turns out. I'm pretty sure we can't repair ourselves in Port Prosper. But we can at least write a report, right? Okay, we don't want to attend a performance at the Gaudy Window. You could just buy these seeds. I mean, sort of may as well, right? And sell them in London. Okay, that's right. We have to recover his lost love from Sky Barnet. Okay, we'll just move on then. What's my hull at right now? 3, okay. We do have to be cautious. Alright, London's not far from the relay, right? And Albion is, on the whole, a lot safer than the Reach. Okay, so we have to present ourselves to customs, get checked out. Wow, they stamp your form without even checking your cargo. That would have been really lucky if we had, you know, had anything worth checking. I think we want to hold on to all of our permits. That's why we brought ours. Okay, let's get the hell out of here. And not get destroyed on the other side, right? Boy, this thing makes me nervous. Nervous in a way I can't even describe because I don't know what I'm nervous about. I just know that I'm very nervous. I mean, that's just sort of the way of things for me, though. I don't know if you know this, but I sometimes experience anxieties with a capital A. Not anxieties about anything, just anxieties. Just feeling bad and scared. You ever go somewhere and just be, like, certain that terrible things are going to happen? When you have no reason to think that? Well, that's me. Everywhere. Every day. Oh dear. Well, you know, I thought we had explored Albion pretty thoroughly. I thought I knew where things were. But maybe we ought to keep those thoughts to ourselves, lest we get a free vacation back to the red and gold. I guess we'll just have to have a new look around. You know, sometimes my memory, it's not what one might hope. One expects that London will still be in the middle of the chart. You just have to be careful. No bumping into things. We go under here? Oh, I think our light's coming out. Yes, our light is coming out the other side. At first I couldn't tell because it's so thick. Okay, so we just need to go sort of generally south. Carefully, generally south. And if we see anything that looks like a hostile ship, we need to not go near it. This way, I guess? So we're all having fun trying to keep it in universe. But what has actually happened here, in case it's not clear, and I'm sure it will be less clear to people who are watching this in the future, is that Albion got completely redesigned in that patch that happened a couple episodes ago, and so the whole new London has to be, or the whole new Albion has to be explored all over again. My understanding is that it's still as sort of like open as Albion was before, but that it's generally smaller now, so there'll be less hold W time. All we have to do is make it back to London without getting shot. Also without running into stuff. Trying to stick close to the walls here, because I am definitely experiencing stress about our current level of hull. But we're right here. Was all the damage we took worth the one piece of loot and one unlicensed chart that we got? Honestly, yes, probably. It is probably the case that the Incarnadine will sell for more than we'll pay for repairs. I like this. I like the extra layers of traffic. Feels a little bit like the Fifth Element now. Oh dear, a mysterious outbreak of nostalgia. All right, everybody, get extremely drunk. Get drunk until you remember that the past is mostly worse than the present. The crew attend reluctantly, but once the brandy has been passed around, you manage to get them telling tales of their recent adventures, of their narrow escapes and their small triumphs. It's still reminiscence, but at least it's on fresher fare than the rose-hued days of their youth. Man, I'll tell you, I get nostalgia. Listen, I still tear up every time I hear music from Star Wars. But I have a hard time with people who are like, oh, the past was better, my earlier days were better, high school was the best time of my life. Man, I am so happy to be an adult with some measure of control over my time, and now we know where London, there we go. I was going to say, now we know where London is, but I don't know where the dock is anymore. And hopefully this is the right dock, because there is more than one dock in London. St. Dominic's Station. I think that's right. Very carefully guiding us in here. Okay, thank God. Let's hit the train yards and repair my locomotive. 171 sovereigns. Your critical damage quality has gone. I didn't realize how critical the damage was. So if we go down to the shops, not the bazaar, the Spitalfields Market. Okay, so that almost covered our repair costs, and we also got an unlicensed chart. Was it worth it? I don't know. Probably not, actually. I did take, like, the full blast from that cannon. Make sure we have the resources necessary to explore a little bit. And then we do have some things to do here in London. Okay, we don't have any charts to bring in. This is where we would do that, right? Okay, into London proper. So first of all, let's talk to our publisher. You arrive at the publisher's new office, a gleaming building with an elevator, a courtyard, and an honest-to-goodness water feature. Well, I feel like he's moving up in the world faster than I am. The omnivorous publisher strides down to meet you, followed by a platoon of assistants, lawyers, bodyguards, and hangers-on. "There's my star," he cries, his hand clammily finding yours. "Let me show you around." He takes you on a tour of his new office, dwelling particularly on the new presses, very modern, and the several life-sized portraits of himself. Quite an excellent likeness, yeah? When finished, he claps your shoulder and offers you the decaying approximation of a smile. Our hard work is really paying off, he says. I think it's about time you saw a share of the profits. Now tell me, where's the next canto? Yeah, perform a momentous exploit and write about it in the 6th canto of the Song of the Sky. Well, I wonder if helping the workers overthrow the Brabazon workworld might count. It assures you that in order to break through the London market, you'll need to write about another of your most famous exploits. Let's have a look at the list. Your publisher leans back amid a halo of smoke. Imagine I'm the average man on the street, by which I mean a Philistine of the lowest order. What have you done lately to capture my attention? Well, I could become the Knight of Clocks. That is an extremely cool title. I could become the Savior of the Sun. Sorta not my deal. I could become the Saint of the Wells, undertaking all of the well rites. Could discover another legendary wreck. Could become a member of Parliament, a revolutionary of Brabazon. Yep, I think we are right on the path to this one. There's some interesting stuff here. The Burrower is angry with me for reasons I'm not 100% clear on. If we could just keep pissing off gods, I guess that would do it eventually. Seems like maybe not a great plan in a long-term sense. It also kind of seems like helping them overthrow Brabazon might have some long-term consequences, although there's something to be said for the fact that I wouldn't be doing any of the fighting directly, right? Maybe we could just keep our name out of it. Alright, I'll get it. We'll get there. So let's do this. Let's open Sarge's account for the Rat Brigade. The Rat Brigade are ready. Halage's is no match for their tiny, squeaky resolve. Halage's central office is a restrained Art Nouveau building, not far from the Ministry. Its girders are curlicued. Its ornamentation offers a tasteful nod to the Clockwork Court. Its palette is faded gold, like the afterglow of a sunset. Inside, dark wood furnishings, bronzewood countertops, and comfortable chairs beside verdant potted plants. Anything to make the customer forget that they are dealing with anything so crass as money. You approach the nearest clerk, introduce the Rat Brigade, and produce the relevant account number. The clerk's eyebrows rise. At Halage's, we measure ourselves by the quality of our clientele, she says, sounding thoroughly miserable. This way, please. The clerk leads you through an interminable series of hallways, through offices, studies, and libraries. At last you arrive at a spiral staircase of wrought iron. You descend, flight after flight, the brigade growing heavy on your shoulders. Eventually, you emerge into a chamber whose walls are set with many metal doors. The clerk unlocks one and steps aside. Yo, rats are not very heavy. What's the Rat Brigade right now? 4, 5 members? You could definitely walk an awfully long distance with 4 or 5 rats hanging out on you without it being a problem. They like to do that, by the way. Once they trust you and sort of like consider you a friend, they will just like hang out on your shoulder all day. The rats follow you in. The clerk smiles. I'll be here if you need me, she says, no doubt ready to summon the guards if anyone puts a whisker out of place. The vault is hewn from the very foundations of London. Mineral deposits glisten in trails along the walls. Iron girders support the stone, enclosing the space within like a cage. Further doors extend from the central vault. Each bears a brass plaque with the name of a member of the Rat Brigade. In the center of the vault, a piece of paper rests on a stone dais. The note reads, in tiny handwriting, I'm sorry. Well, the rats don't seem... None of them seem to want to open their doors themselves. I guess let's just go down the list. Let's open the door marked Petronella. She's reluctant to open it alone. The door swings open silently. Good oil on the hinges, Petronella says, her voice betraying a slight tremor. Come on, I've been waiting for this for... Inside is a set of miniature trains. A whole clockwork railway set, commissioned from Icarus and Sons, the renowned toy makers. Petronella examines the set carefully, commenting on the intricacy of the gears, the detail of the antique engines. Then she leaves the room empty-handed. Not keeping him. He doesn't get to clear his conscience with a bribe. Well, that's a shame. Those were probably pretty difficult to make. Alright, Albrecht, let's see what he left you. Albrecht takes a deep breath and bristles his whiskers. Alright, after you. The room is empty, but for a card on a wooden table. Albrecht scampers up the table leg and takes the card in his paws. His whiskers twitch as he reads. He squeaks excitedly, before remembering himself and feigning a cough. Excuse me. An invitation to a certain house in Eleutheria, suitable for rats of my persuasion. An odd gift, but I have always wanted to visit. And now, one day, I shall. Excuse me. I'd like a moment alone. Okay, well that seems to have moved Albrecht's tiny weird heart. Let's check out Wilma's door. Wilma jumps onto your shoulder. Well, come on then. There's a merry gleam in her eye. I'm about to get something is like a rat's favorite emotion. The door is heavy and creaks as it opens. Wilma sighs. Of course, he didn't bother for the maintenance of my room. Let's see what the old crook left. Oh, hello. Inside the room is a little table with a silver key and an address written on a neat card. The address is very fine indeed. Well, well, I may be moving up in the world. A house? Well, I suppose I may have course to entertain a few guests in the near future. Let's hope she doesn't forget about us. Alright, Vianne. I am dying to get in there. I just want to know. Vianne's feet patter with excitement. Could you help at the door? There are only two things on the dust-covered table inside. A velvet purse containing a few sovereigns, and a ticket to Polmere and Plenty's inconceivable circus. Vianne sighs. Transparent as ever. I suppose it's obvious where Angel would go. She shakes her head. Fine. If the dead are telling me to bury the hatchet, perhaps I should listen. But I'm on a reform mission, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She takes the ticket, leaving the sovereigns behind. Interesting. Sarge always had a soft spot for Angel, Vianne says, a note of wistfulness in her voice. Inside, gathering dust on a small medicine cabinet, is a card and a heavy bag of sovereigns. Vianne approaches cautiously. She reads the card. This is the name of a very good trauma specialist at Magdalen's. The sovereigns more than cover the fee. She closes the purse and takes the card. I'll take them to him. I do have a duty of care, and this is long overdue. Well, okay, that's a little sweet that Sarge was trying to make sure that they would find each other. He knew they wouldn't both show up together, but he wanted to make sure that they would have some impetus to reunite. Guess he's not all bad. Open the door marked Humphrey. Cinders scowls at the plaque. She says nothing. The room contains nothing but a casket. Inside is a set of moldering hamster bones and a deed from Lovelace and Fedlock, pet procurers. It ascertains the lineage of the deceased lieutenant. As the lineages of hamsters go, it is impressive. The door marked Christabel. A long-range gunner. She died on the blockade, said Cinders. Guess Sarge thought she'd make it. Inside is a collection of faded dolls and a bottle of wine. They are arranged in a circle, as if at a tea party. Christabel was always lonely, says Cinders, but she hated people. I have been there. I have been both of those places. The door marked Sebastian, our quartermaster, Albrecht's mate. Didn't make it. Inside is a golden ring and a set of expensive dishes, complete with several moldering recipe books. The ring has dulled. Cinders closes the door behind you. Best Albrecht doesn't come in. Well, that's very sad. An occasion that never came. The door marked Seamus, our navigator, died getting us off the governor's engine. This room contains a permit. It allows one-way travel back through the Avid Horizon. Cinders crumples the document up. Useless now, she says. You know, he really was trying, wasn't he? It seems like he was actually sorry. Not that that's good enough, but it counts for more than nothing, I think. Alright, last one. Cinders looks at you. You go in if you want. I'm not giving the bastard the satisfaction. Well, I definitely will go in. The door creaks open. True to her word, Cinders remains outside. Go on. Curiosity kills cats, not me. Inside is a battered insignia, 2 tiny pearl-handled revolvers, and a note. The note reads, "I'm really sorry." The reverse reads, "Take care of them." This has been scribbled out and replaced with, "Look after them." This too has been crossed out, and the final version reads simply, again, "I'm sorry." The insignia is of sergeant rank. Cinders asks you to close the door behind you. Yeah, that's probably a pretty tainted promotion there. You have seen all you care to of Sarge's bequest. This will bring the story of the Rat Brigade to a close. Cinders calls the squad to order. Right, we've seen what Sarge has left us. Not what we'd hoped, but then neither was he. Now, I've heard a few murmurings of, shall we say, discontent about what happened to the lieutenant. But he profited from the betrayal just as if he'd done it himself. So I want no more carping. We got back together, got in, did for the bastard. I'm not familiar with this phraseology here. And got out with the loot. There's a chorus of ragged squeaks from the Rat Brigade. Right you are, boss, Petronella shouts. Cinders grins fiercely. Damn Sarge, she says, and damn this vault. We're our own rats now. Back to the engine. She looks up at you. Captain's command, now. The Ratty Revengers will work on your locomotive. That's adorable. Also, we leveled up. Ooh, we leveled up, but I did not... Okay, I did get a click to spend character points. So we did get a reflection. It just didn't show the little arrow. Well, let us remember once more. So we still have some hearts to recover, but I do want to keep pushing our mirrors higher. We could be haunted. I think that makes a certain amount of sense. And that's the only option that'll get us both hearts and mirrors, huh? You are plagued by the past, by some guilt or sin or old ordeal that will not let you rest. At this point, I reckon more than one. What is the nature of the haunting? A ghostly presence, a chill on the window, a breeze when the window is closed, a pressure on the edge of the bed, as if someone was sat there as you slept. You are not alone. Yeah, I imagine we did some screwed up things during the period after we sort of got kicked out of the family home during the part where we were trying to survive. This makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. So wait, is this the that's not the princess's... Yeah, that's not the princess's plot, that's her secondment. I think let's not let her set up. As terrified as I am becoming of her, I do think that we want to keep her around. So we cannot look for the Baroness of Hell, because the repentant devil does not have a selection of immaculate souls. If we found her, there's no way she'd let us in to talk to her. Okay. We had something else that we wanted to do, right? Let's see, we can donate things here. We have 4 cryptic benefactors, so we could... Man, we could make a lot of money. Didn't we have... I thought we had at least one more plot to push in London. With the devil has his thing he needs to do in London. She needs to go to Eleutheria. None of this stuff. Right, we still got to get back to Brabazon. The clay conductor... We need to find the Court of Tea and Spice in a place. I don't even know where that's going. She needs to go to Pan. Maybe I was misremembering. We do have to go back to the Clockwork Sun. Unfortunately, I don't know where that was at this point. Right, we gotta get to Skybarn. I mean, we have a lot of places to go, but it looks like maybe we're done here in London. Okay, well, before we leave London, we have one more very important thing to do. Oh, you know what? We should go back to the Firebrand conductor, because we smuggled a passenger, and so we could agree to smuggle a new one. Collect them from Whorlberry and take them to Port Prosper. Okay, absolutely doable. I am all about helping people reposition themselves and start anew. Alright, let's buy ourselves a train, shall we? Huh, this is... Oh, it's just red because it's a negative number, not because we don't have enough. So we will lose a light weapon slot and gain a heavy weapon slot, but I am told that a heavy weapon slot can mount a light weapon. This is not... It's not exclusively heavy weapons. And it's definitely an upgrade in other ways. Oh, but we do have to name our new locomotive. An Agravain class locomotive. Hold on. So it's a harbinger of conflict. It's a powerful, thundering weapon. It's way healthier. We're getting in 30 plating immediately and an additional plating slot. So it should be a fighting name. It should. Ooh, how about the Bombast? That's not really fighting, but it's sort of like metaphorically linked with the idea of fighting, the idea of cannon fire. I like that quite a bit. Alright, so we've moved up in the world once more, and now we don't have a huge amount of cash, but we could buy ourselves some new stuff here, right? So, actually still not a lot of options for the plating slot. Can I, like... Oh, what happened there? I don't know. It made a noise, but nothing. Okay, weird. I wish you could sort the shop by things that fit in the plating slot. Is that one plating item the only option? It looks like it might be. I mean, it doesn't make sense for most of this to be able to go in the plating slot, but may as well mouse over it all, right? Okay, yeah, well, I mean, we should take it. That's got us up to 100 plating. That's pretty freaking good, if I do say so myself. And then we could do some little upgrades. What is currently in my bridge slot? +6 room for crew. We could drop that without even losing any crew right now. And the only reason I wanted so much room for crew was so that we could do those expeditions in the Trader's Wood, which we no longer need to do. So... let's see here. It would be reckless to crew our locomotive with fewer than 6. We are in no danger of that occurring. Let's take out the sensible plumbing and maybe consider a new item for the bridge slot. So we could gain 7 hold if we had a little bit more iron. Oh, hold on. We no longer have a chief engineer at all. Ooh, +10 veils. The meanest rats you're ever likely to meet this side of the avid horizon. I wonder if you actually get a different version of them if you don't kill the lieutenant. Maybe. Because my thinking here is that I'm actually pretty close, right? This is 39 iron. Ah, that's a shame. 39. You know, if I'm pretty sure we did permanently lose 1 point of iron somewhere. If we were at 40, then having the judicious driver be our chief engineer would make it possible for us to mount this. Well, we still could. So I'm not clear what happens if we install it, because we could bump our iron up to 50 by doing this. Right now I believe we're at 55. 53. Because math. Yeah, so now we're at 53, and we totally could install these fitted cupboards. But if I then were to change our officers, would they fall out? Like, I don't really know what would happen. Many of Skyfarers found themselves distributed widely and bloodily after underestimating the Black Jape. 20 damage. It's an automatic shotgun. 20 damage, 30 heat. This is another thing we have access to now that we have 50 iron. We don't have anywhere near 50 veils, right? Yeah. Even putting on the rats and gaining another 10 veils, we'd still be 12 points short. So we could get ourselves some new weapons. We could try out some new weapons. They're expensive, though, and I'm wondering if we might be better off sticking with the weapons we have and saving for improving to the next locomotive, and then, you know, we'll improve our gear further after that. But I would love more hold space. More hold space will just make our lives so much easier. I'm going to go ahead and grab the fitted cupboards, and we'll just keep people in the positions they're in for now, I guess. Keep our iron above 50. Yeah, I don't think there's any other moves we want to make here. And now that we have the bridge slot open, we could potentially make use of some of those inventions from the Airy House. Although, there is the concern that I don't know where the Airy House is anymore. So maybe it would, maybe we're talking about a pretty distant thing. Yeah, I'm willing to cough up 1,500 right now to add to our hold, to let us have more hold space, to enable us to make more money, to be able to afford the better locomotive. And what would we sell our sensible plumbing for? Almost nothing. Can I just put it in the bank? Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, what else do we need to do? Well, since we're going to be out exploring, maybe we want to take our literature with us. We may happen upon the avid horizon. We certainly have the hold space for it, although, of course, there's still the issue of weight to think about. Yeah, I'm comfortable with this for right now. I will say the canning system is not exactly blowing me away with its usefulness. Maybe we could afford to swap a different thing into the support slot? Yeah, maybe. What if we, the assaying device goes in that slot, right? We'd go down to 22 hold space. The thing is, I'm pretty sure that the stuff we're going to get from the assaying device is just going to be like Sky Stories. And the canning thing isn't super useful, but when it comes into play, it gets us supplies, which I care about considerably more. Yeah, let's just leave it for now. So we don't have any idea where anything is. We are absolutely just like flying around in the dark now, right? We have no other stuff to get done in London. So it would be... We just paid 6,000 sovereigns for an engine. We saw a price of 16,000 sovereigns for that really good one, the Moloch class liner, prior to doing so. So once we get to 10k here, we should be able to trade up to that. We're not that close. We're not. We have a lot of money worth of stuff we could trade in that I'm going to hold on to until we actually can just get the train from it. Because who knows what other uses we might find. Okay, so let's repair our train. We gotta fill in our new hull. And then, you know what? We'll have a little bit of a look around before ending the video. Let's try to find another port somewhere. So we have our permits, we have our honey, we have our ministry-approved literature. We are ready to fulfill our quests. If only we can find the places to do those things. Okay, yeah, I think I've done everything I needed to do. Okay, let's fly about a bit. Okay, not allowed to fly through that dock. I don't even know what that is. I will say, I think that effect is cool. Almost crashed right into a building because I was looking at the locomotives below us. I think that effect is cool, but it's probably going to be a little while before I don't momentarily panic. Be like, oh god, I'm going to crash into that train. Yeah, this area is not huge. Alright, well, let's just fly about a bit. Cast about for our bearings. There are a couple of places that it would be nice to find. But really, that was most of what we needed to do here. One thing that it would be nice to know is if there are other transit relays in Albion. And I suppose there's no way we're going to find that out except for actually getting out here and exploring. But I want to try to get outside of the tangle of London's streets, I guess you could call them, before we send the caveat to look for stuff. In particular, it'd be really great to know where Brabazon is. What? Our scout did not... He found a dock way over there. That's not that helpful. Still pedaling its mechanical bat. I'm sorry, it pedals the bat? That's extremely adorable. I thought the bat just sort of worked and, like, carried the guinea pig. It does feel a little bit like this place has lost its sort of openness. Also, it feels like this train turns way tighter. That's probably my imagination. Get out there and keep looking around, buddy. Pump those tiny legs. Oh yeah, you're near the sea and the sky. Okay. That's good to know. So the Avid Horizon's around here somewhere, then. What was I about to say? I don't remember. We get through here? No, that is definitely stopping my light. Jeez. I'm all kinds of stuck in this little alcove. Alright, we took 1 damage there. Not a big deal. 100 hull is a pretty nice place to be, I'll say that. Well, what do you think? I'm going to hope that some things that were true about the old map remain true about this map. I'm going to try to go around this side in the hopes that the Avid Horizon will be sort of west of the sea itself. London's dead rest peacefully here unless the resurrection men come for them. Huh. You know, I've never heard the word resurrection in a context that made me quite so uneasy before. Do I hear fighting? I think I do. What have you? Ah. There is, in fact, a port this way. It also feels like this engine is longer, and that I am more likely to slap the back of my train on objects when performing maneuvers like that. Again, possibly just in my head. As solemn and quiet as an empty church. Hey, that was pretty smooth, actually. Yeah, let's go ahead and attend a funeral here. Chapel is empty, the corpse lies largely unmourned. Just a little bit of decency, not for the sake of the corpse, but for the sake of myself. She has requested shore leave at the mausoleum and means to join the Deathless. Hold on a moment. Let's write this port report. I don't think we should do that. I don't think that's a good idea. You know... Hold on. Let's talk to her about that. She's been baking up a storm. This usually means she wants something. Just an idle thought, she says, presenting you with a new batch of sourdough loaves. She frowns at the consistency of the bread, as though she expects it to get its act together, sharpish. But if you wish to make full use of my full arsenal of talents, you might want to grant me shore leave at the most serene mausoleum. Her eyes gleam behind her horn-rimmed spectacles. I have ideas. A lot of you think I'm more valuable aboard your engine. That's up to you. She'll be able to generate barrels of unseasoned hours for you. I think I'd rather have her stats and stuff. And she wants us to take her somewhere, and we know where, like... let's approach the Deathless. We can have a chat with the Duchess here real quick and gain some favor, potentially. And then maybe use that favor to do something. Also, 5 terror, because spending time with the Duchess is sort of terrible. Cheery Registrar. Okay, so we could take on unique bargains for the Deathless, but you will lose favor. We have to build up some favor. So we could exchange literature for that. But we have an idea of what we want to do with this literature. I think let's just do a little bit more exploring. There we go. We got through that eventually. An awful lot of drifting. So the Most Serene Mausoleum was on the other side of London previously. So unfortunately that tells us that we probably cannot expect anything about this new map based on the old map. Probably what we're hearing is dreadnoughts fighting grave robbers, right? The grave robbers, I don't remember them having particularly valuable stuff. It might not be worth getting involved. We could just kill juggernauts because killing juggernauts has been very good to us, but for the moment, let's stay more or less on the straight and narrow here. We have stuff that needs to get done. Hey, surprise, there's something grave over there by all those graves. Really, all I'm looking for is ports. Also, the location of the Clockwork Sun would be pretty useful. So, one of these giant storms. Alright, well, I suppose we're headed in that direction anyway. So I'm trying to remember, the well that we visited was a giant storm. So maybe there's something to interact with in each of those. Oh, geez, that doesn't look like a normal scribe spinster to me. That looks like there's something else going on there. Well, let's just pay our respects and maybe get the hell out of here. Ooh, that is definitely a different color and speed than the normal scribe spinster projectile. That looks to me like it's probably a tougher version, sort of like a bull scribe spinster. Oh dear. Into a dead end, then. What a shot. Let's deploy the canning equipment. I guess we're a little short on supplies. Things of value, eh? It does seem to have lost interest in us remarkably quickly. A pre-human ruin. Igneous and ignobly forgotten. Yeah, we've definitely seen a number of things that suggest that there were people here and building pre-human. Is it just devils, or is there something... did the devils come over with us? There were devils in Fallen London, I believe. Yeah, who knows? Okay, saw a bulkhead tankery there. I guess I don't need to necessarily interact with that. Like, hey, we could eat that, but no, it's probably not worth the trouble. We're gonna have to turn back around and head to London pretty soon. That is very much in the wrong direction. I wish we could tell him, yeah, go... head that way. Look for things that are northwest of me. We'll push a little bit further into the black and then send him out one more time, and if he doesn't find me a port, we may have to just head back to London. Well, he certainly didn't find anything. I was hoping that Brabazon would still be close, and it might be. The problem might be that it's on the other side now. The problem might be that we're just too far out. What is that? Oh, it's one of those situations. Well, the infection of glass does seem to be caused by the sun. So that might indicate that we're in the area of the Clockwork Sun. But the first time we saw one of those glass-infected ships, it was pretty far away from it. Yeah, I guess we'll just head back in the direction of London. There's still a lot of map to uncover between here and there. We have enough supplies that we can afford to send the cavi out quite a bit. A bleak and stony stretch of sky. Well, you're not wrong about that. Nothing, huh? Well, it is just very desolate out here. I mean, this looks like human construction. Why did they abandon all of it? Like, that's even the only light we've seen. This is well and truly abandoned. Seems like an awful lot of work to just leave it out here. Alright, I don't think we're going to find anything. This is definitely a pretty unusual situation that we find ourselves in. Players in the future will never have to explore Albion knowing what things are waiting for them, but not knowing where those things are. I have to say I'm not wild about it as an experience. Maybe they could have left, like, any port where you've turned in a report from it would remain marked on your map. I don't know. Like I said, it's not a persistent problem. Understand that a great many things will burn before anything of mine does. Yeah, I'm familiar with that, familiar with your propensity in that direction. Locomotives scurry below. London never sleeps. Alright, so we don't want to turn down this alley, it's the next one, right? Interesting. Yeah, that's why we couldn't enter that dock before, because there's totally a locomotive docked there, and I just didn't even notice. It was sort of under this thing, kind of blends in a little bit. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Alright. Let's go to Steam and Sapphire Yards. Deliver our report. Singular. And then, I'm just gonna repair, I guess. No reason not to. Spend 3 whole sovereigns on a full repair. Grab ourselves some more fuel and supplies. It turns out we're going to need a lot to get this place uncovered again. And the last 20 minutes or so of this episode were very anticlimactic, and I apologize. But when you come back tomorrow, we are going to continue exploring our Albion, and we're going to find some things, damn it. We'll see you then.